What number are you?
I am, oh,
Page 28.
they're scared.
They're scared. They should. You got scared to be back there?
They don't want to join,
Yeah, guns. They should.
Okay, Jay, you're live.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are for another fun night of Board of A&T and talking about taxes, all kinds of fun stuff, especially here on tax day, right? Okay, let us first start with the opening for the Pledge of Allegiance. Veterans, you are authorized to hand salute if you so desire. Otherwise, everybody please place their hand over their heart. Okay, let's begin.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Can we have a quick roll call, please? Is there anybody that's recording tonight other than, a live recording?
No, it's other than live recording, there is no recording. No clerk
Okay,
at the meeting.
all right. Well, okay, those present, would you please just say your name and if you're from A&T or who you're with? Okay, we'll start with the Board of A&T. Who's present here other than myself, Jay Francino Quinn?
Joe Matnick, Board of Apportionment.
Anyone else?
John Boyko, A&T.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyko. Anyone else from A&T?
Wayne Bragg.
And Joe Nassau.
Yeah.
This one is.
Okay. The Board of Aldermen, who do we have?
John Anglais.
Thank you, John.
Eric McPherson.
There we go, yeah, thanks.
Eric McPherson, thank you. Anyone else?
John Belvin.
John Belden, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else from the Board of Aldermen? Okay, I know we have, finance here. Finance, speak up, please.
We got the police department up first. 25.
Okay. All right. So, yep. All right. So, please withhold all your questions until the individual speakers have stopped. The order will be from the Board of A&T, then the Board of Aldermen. Anybody who's not on a board or commission are not authorized to ask any questions. So please refrain. Okay. First person up to speak is our police chief.
Good morning.
Good evening, chief.
I'm doing well. How are you? Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good, thanks.
I'd like to start off by just saying most of our budget is straightforward as it has been for the last 8 years since I've been here. There have been a few changes. I'll identify the changes. This year, our budget increased 6.5%. Most of that increase, the majority came from our contractual raises. So we had 2 raises since then, and it created it to go up to 6.5%. Some areas may have fluctuated up as a result of line painting. Paint went up this year. Gas prices, gas went up. And that comes from our finance department. We work with those numbers and so forth. Most of it has just been the exact same from last year. We're budgeted right now for 58. We do have 54 members of the police department. We're always looking to actively recruit, to have an active list in case we need to employ. We are looking to hire a few more officers. We are looking to do promotions. We are working with the standards of CALIA federal accreditation that was came with the police accountability bill, where we must be accredited by the year 2025 for the federal standard. That's about all I have right here for you. If you have any specific questions, I can ask, I can answer them. Nothing's really changed beyond that.
Introduce your people.
Yes, I have in the back here, coming is Lieutenant Robert Kozlowski.
Right.
He's over patrol. He actually covers our budget for us and it helps us monitor our budget on a weekly and monthly basis. We have our meetings. We have the head of accreditation in the traffic division is Lieutenant Brian Yerzak in the back. And we have the pleasure of having the head of Detective Bureau, Lieutenant Michael McPadden, that's in the back of the room.
Thank you for coming, John.
Thank you.
Okay, starting with the Board of A&T, any questions of, the police department and those, and or those that the, chief introduced?
Sure.
Board of A&T, any questions for the, police department?
Okay, this is Wayne Bragg. I'm gonna start with a question.
Okay, we don't hear anybody from, the Board of A&T that has any questions.
Bragg.
All right, let's move on to the board. Say again?
Mr. Bragg would like to talk.
Are you not hearing me? Jay, is there a problem with this mic?
Nope. Nope, I don't hear you very well.
Okay, all right.
Can you put that bass down here? That might be the problem. There you go. Right, maybe the bass is closer here, maybe it'll pick it up. There you go.
I don't think it's picked up all the way. So Chief, I just sort of, looking at the head count.
Sure.
Maybe you can just sort of walk me through this a little bit. So you're currently at 62, obviously it's 54 for total sworn and then 62 for total department. I noticed that, there seems to be a lot of movement this year, compared to prior years. So you're actually going to go down on patrol officers from 38 to 35, and then you're going to increase in number of detectives, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, and a police chief. Is that correct?
Part correct. We're looking not to go down with officers. We're always looking to carry a certified list for
Okay,
entry-level officers to come in as we do promotions. As we increase, we bring people in and we maneuver around the department.
yeah, I was just reading off, actually, it shows you going from 38 to 35, and I was trying to understand why you would be
Yes.
reducing the number of officers there. Is there,
No, we're actually not going
or
to,
you're not going?
we're not going, as we promote in, we're at 54. We're budgeting up to 58.
Right,
So for
right.
35, and if we ever need manpower, we have a certain amount of officers that work in civilian capacities, we'll bump them out to patrol.
Okay, but you're going to add an additional deputy, a captain, lieutenant, and two sergeants, right?
That is the plan, sir.
Those are gonna come from within, is promotion from within, is that how that works?
Yes, that is.
They go through testing and that sort of thing, right?
Yes, we actually already had a testing for the captain and deputy chief positions. I believe there's an active list and we're working on testing for sergeants and lieutenants.
Okay,
And we should have immediately after that a certified list for officers, any officers interested that were prior police officer anywhere can transfer into the department.
okay, so it's fair to say then that the increase in labor costs would be primarily driven by the increase in headcount as well as the contractual obligations for the wage increases.
That would be correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, so Joan Abbott from the Board of A&T. I've been informally reassured that the city will come through with covering the two major deficits that are occurring in this budget. That is the special ed deficit faced by the Board of Education and the special ed transportation deficit faced by the Board of Education. And a variety of insurance increases. So hopefully that'll hold true, but right as of now, the problems do exist. And so I'll ask a question that I've been asking of the department heads who've appeared here, if any surplus in their department is anticipated, because that might be applied to any existing deficits with regard to the Board of Education or the insurance payments.
Are you asking me specifically, is there gonna be a surplus?
Is there gonna be, do you anticipate a surplus?
I always anticipate first a surplus, and a surplus usually comes with wise spending. But we never know what we're gonna encounter in the police department, so I can't guarantee you that there will be a surplus.
Without the guarantee, how much of a surplus would you anticipate?
I wouldn't know. Things are encountering, we have accreditation that came up. They're setting different demands and standards with the federal accreditation. And I work closely in the mayor's office and making adjustments, but I have no problem if I ever need more money coming in front of the board and making that request and stating my reasons why.
Okay, but you do anticipate a surplus.
Usually it comes with a surplus. We watch what we spend and the money's there in case we need it.
Okay, hold on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else from the Board of A&T? Anybody else from the Board of A&T? Okay, hearing no one else, well, let's go with the Board of Aldermen, okay? Anybody from the Board of Aldermen have any questions?
I do.
Okay, again, anybody from the Board of Aldermen, any questions?
John English does.
How's your hearing?
Say again?
How's your hearing?
Turn your mic on.
How's your hearing?
Okay.
Hey, there you go. Hi, John.
Okay. My question deals with the pension, the MERS pension. Would you bring us up to date on where that stands, how we're doing with the MERS pension? Is it still a valuable asset to recruiting? And is it worthwhile to continue? As I know it's expensive, but it appears in the past, it's always been a big help for us to be able to recruit. And we've got a lot of folks, a lot of police from other departments as a result. Does that still hold true?
That definitely holds true 100%. I can't express to you how much the CMERS pension system here has an impact, along with the quality of life, along with the medical and coverages that we have here. The reason why we always have an active list, the reason why we can anticipate hiring people with no problem transferring in is because of that CMERS pension. It's because of that. If you look around other departments, they're losing departments because of us. We all want to hire. We don't want another department to lose out, but a lot of departments are transferring in to Shelton just on the basis of that pension system.
Now, this is, as I recall in the past, when you hire under the, somebody comes to your department, they generally come for MERS and they come for, from another department, they're trained and they hit the ground running.
Mhm.
So you don't get into the 6-month training and getting used to and tying up our people, getting them ready to get on patrol.
That is correct. When they come from a CMERS pension system or any other police department, when they're a certified police officer, we can have them out there in patrol within a week. Versus if you hire an entry-level individual, they're gonna go through a 6-7 month training academy. And obviously, it's gonna take a longer time to be on patrol for a field training officer because they are not an experienced officer. We want to expose them to every aspect of the police department.
And that, where is that account? What's that account number?
For CMERS,
Yeah.
Seamer's account is actually in employee benefits,
Oh, okay.
account 200. On page,
It's on page 2.
I would have.
page 2.
Police pension contribution.
Okay, no wonder I couldn't find it.
6 on down. Yeah.
And that would be under the employee resources.
Yeah.
So they would, you control that of the day.
They control that.
Okay.
They were here last week.
I mean, I can't express our pension system's great. You know, if other departments such as Stratford that doesn't have a pension system, Trumbull. Officers are leaving the department. You know, the fact that speaks itself, you know, either your pension system, you have a good pension system, you have a good medical and dental and health benefits, people are gonna transfer in. That's just what's gonna happen.
Is it, Paul, what's it listed under? What account number?
200.
4124.
Yeah, it's.
41.
Page 2.
On page 2, about a quarter of the way down, you'll see police pension contributions. Current
Okay.
budget, 1,508,000. The mayor has recommended 1,650,000. I will mention this, I mentioned this a week ago today. We received notification from the state treasurer's office early last month, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, that the contribution rate, which is currently 24.8%, will increase as of July 1st to 29.9%. A 5.1% increase, which is roughly a 20% increase in our cost. Additionally to that, I should add that the contribution by members of the police department, their personal contribution out of their salary increases, don't hold me exactly to it, Sean may know better than I do, by 0.5% over the current rate.
So you're talking an increase, a projected increase of what looks to be about $150,000 for the year.
I would say, no, I would say it's significantly more than that. I think you're looking at an increase in the $400,000 to $500,000 range.
Well, when the original budget was for 1,508,000, and the mayor recommended 1,650,000.
300,000.
Now, we paid I'll give you an example on that. As you say, the current budget is 1,508,000. We had spent on the most recent run basically $1,170,000. We sent today, which will be credited tomorrow on this account, for the month of March, $233,000. And so you've got a budget of 1,508,000. We will have spent through 9 months fractionally over $1.4 million. And that number will increase by 20% next year.
So we expect that the next couple of months would also be about 230K each month. So that's
I think there's no question in my mind. Well, it's not in the police budget, but obviously in the employee resources budget, that budget line will go over by, and I'd be guessing, but $500,000 over the, over the 1.508.
So Paul, this year, the increase is due to added patrol force, added police force, added additions to the police force. And next year is going to be because of
And the contractual raises.
the 20% increase.
Next year's rate that we have to contribute for every dollar that any uniformed officer earns goes up 5.1%, which, as I say, is essentially a 20% increase in the cost of that item.
So what's your estimate of what we have to adjust that police pensions?
Well, as I say, I think I don't think there's much question in my mind that we are going to spend. We've spent right now through the end of March, 1.4 million. That's a 9-month figure.
So if we're gonna go over by about 500,000, that means we're gonna be close to 2 million.
So I think, it would seem to me
And we know
And,
it's like
and particularly in the months of April, May, and June, Sean could comment on this better than I can. There's more utilization of private duty work, for example. There's more utilization for everything. There's a lot of activities going on that require police utilization.
That is correct, Paul. And usually every year, April, May, and June, obviously we spend a lot in overtime, or not a lot in overtime, but we spend more in overtime than the normal years. The summers come out and we want to stay visible and have a presence downtown. We want to stay visible what the parks are. We want to do our patrol checks, and we have all the parades. We have the different events that come through in both the green and the downtown, and obviously when those come, that comes with a price.
Some more private duty work.
Absolutely.
So.
I would think that given the current pattern, and with the 20% increase, commencing July 1st, that we could easily see a budget line there of $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So
I don't say easily, but I mean, I think $2.5 million is in the ballpark. Let's put it that way.
That's some math, or some.
So what's been, what's on the table right now from the mayor is 1.665. So 1,650,000, and you're saying it's going to be, look like 2,500,000.
Correct.
What you're saying, John, is the labor costs are gonna increase.
Now, some of the a portion of that gets offset, obviously, by revenue that we receive from private duty work. We will be raising the rate on private duty as of July 1st.
The delay in the system makes it awkward because you're talking at the same time. So Wayne was talking when you didn't butt in. You didn't know he was talking because you're on the left.
My apologies, Wayne.
That's okay, it's all right. I was just sort of restating what you had said about what's gonna happen over the next 3 months. That the level of contribution is going to increase because the level of labor is going to increase. So as you get more, visibility, more parades and such, more labor costs, which is higher, more contributions to pension. So that's why I think Paul is saying it's going to increase at a much faster rate between now and the end of the year. So the overrun could be as high as $1 million is what he was saying.
And what he was further saying is he's going to increase the private duty rate. So there's a city rate, there's a private duty rate, then there's a police officer rate. So the private duty rate is when the officer gets paid by the private company, the city gets paid as well.
Right.
So they'll generate a revenue.
Is the private duty rate set by ordinance?
What was that, John?
Is the private duty rate set by ordinance?
No.
Because if
Well, there's an ordinance that regulates it, but we do it according to, I think that there's two major factors. What the officers are receiving, and obviously as of July 1st, there's an increase in their salary level because a contract has been signed. Sean could tell me better than I know on that, but that's in the 2.5% range.
Yes, I think it went up. I don't know. I think it was, what was it, $5 and 60 to 65?
2 or 2 1/4 this July.
2 or 2 1/4? 2 and 2 1/4 increase.
Two and a quarter increase. So you got a 2 1/4 increase on basic salary, plus a 20% increase on the pension cost.
I was just instructed it was 2.
So
2%
2% this year and then 2 1/4 next year, I think.
So in reality, what you're looking at on the cost of pension it's going up by 22.25%. Approximately. I mean, not being accurate, but not less than that.
Well, is there any action that we need to take in the immediate future to raise the private duty rate?
I don't think the Board of Aldermen needs to take specific action.
Okay,
We have raised the rates consistently. We last raised them about within this fiscal year, about 6 or 7 months ago.
Is there any limit in a fiscal year and how often we can raise it? Can we raise it again this fiscal year or?
I don't think, I don't think it's appropriate to raise it during this year, looking forward, but, as of July 1st, we've got to raise it. And, excuse me, 90% of the revenue on that comes from public utilities and other construction companies who are accustomed to paying those rates in virtually every other town in the region. Because every other town is facing the same issue. We're not alone.
Do you know how our rate compares to other towns?
We're one of the lowest.
Okay,
Yeah, by if not the lowest, we're one of the lowest. Not significantly below, but off the top of my head, I'd say we're 10% below what other towns in the region, in the geographical region, are charging.
okay, so that revenue will of course offset the increase in the pensions, but we still have to budget that increase. And it sounds like we need to budget a lot more than what's in the mayor's recommendation. So it sounds like you said we need to budget basically about 2.5 million.
right, it's all.
Total, yeah, so that's almost another whole $1 million over the mayor's recommendation.
That was the discussion we had a week ago tonight when I was in your presence. On that line item, it's a concern because I think, we may be, we're certainly going to be short this year. In that budget line, as I say, we've spent to date just over 1.4 million for 9 months, with a budget line of $1,508,000. So we've roughly got 100,000 left to spend, which frankly was spent back around Easter Sunday for the month of April. I don't want to say the worst is yet to come, but it's coming, and it's something that cannot be avoided, cannot be deferred.
If I get back to a couple of questions for the chief, I see there's a line for Narcan that's at $5,000 that seems to be already spent for this year. And also a line for the traffic division that is pretty close to spent this year and it's getting a cut for next year, actually. Do you anticipate any problems on those?
No, I actually think the Narcan was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was covered by COVID.
We bought it for this fiscal year, so we stocked up on it. We have enough for this fiscal year. So the 5,000 will cover this, a little extra, and put the same amount in, based on what we pay for next year.
Okay, but is there a reason for the reduction in the traffic division line?
What line is that you're looking at, the traffic?
That's
Last one.
56-1. I mean, it's not a big number in any
56.
case. but-
No, it's just slightly reduced because we have the additional signs that we need and the things we need for the traffic.
What line are you
Yeah, I was
looking?
just curious.
Yeah,
Would you give this number again, please?
It's 6501.
Thank you.
Yeah, 65.
I see it, okay.
55,
65, sir.
65.
65.
3/4 of the way down on page.
So it sounds like that's just for equipment for the traffic
Yeah.
division and it's fine.
Sure.
Okay. Because most lines seem to be pretty fully funded.
Chief.
Yes.
You finished,
Yes.
I'm thinking about the school resource officers. And, is there any possibility of any expansion in that area? How many, give me a snapshot view, how many do we have now? And is there any possibility or any insights into any discussion going on about bringing in some more?
There's always this discussion regarding it, it's constant discussion, but I want you to fully understand what school resource officer is. School resource officer, where we think about and how we prepare for it is the covering the perimeter of patrol checks to the building. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of threats that goes on, obviously know that we know through experience, specifically with Sandy Hook and Adam Lanza case, and I was on that case in state police, for those who don't know, when I was in state police major crimes, that if an officer is seen patrolling the area in front of the building, it deters crime. So in that specific case, he went to the high school, he saw an officer there, he couldn't shoot up the high school, so he went to the elementary school. So when you think of school resource officer, we're thinking of it in two terms. One, which I think more or less, you're probably thinking of both, but one, I'm thinking, we always have patrol checks and we monitor those patrol checks at the schools. So the regular patrol officers, they have a duty to actively patrol the schools and do patrol checks to be visible there. So we always have regular officers there. Now, school resource officer is usually the old term is an officer that responds to the school if there's some sort of potential criminal activity with the school. We don't try to abuse the school resource officers. For example, sometimes we'll get overloaded with calls of, you know, an officer escort a child from a class to the principal's office. We're really not there to escort a child from the class to the principal's office. We're really not there to intimidate a child. You know, that would be more of the school security role or a teacher's role. But as far as being visible and patrolling, we have that covered. Now, we have, I believe, 3 school resource officers. We have Officer John Staples, who's a youth officer. We have Tim Green, and we have Kenny, and we are looking to fulfill even more, but the number one priority in the presence for us is having that office, that school security where no one can enter in that premises and cause any harm to anyone, any teacher, faculty, student that's coming in and out. That's my first priority.
And there are ongoing discussions. I understand the need for security. I understand the need for confidentiality. But I want to be sure that there are ongoing discussions between you and the school system.
There always is. I speak with the superintendent several times throughout the year, and a good chunk of the time we come up with a plan prior to school starting. And we come up with an action plan of how we get tacked with school resource officers, with the youth officers. We always evaluate the amount of calls, the responses for the calls, the natures, you know, a lot of our school resource officers, they get tasked with investigating criminal complaints at the school. That goes beyond just protection of the school. That could be employees, of any allegation of, or may involve DCF and so forth. So there's always constant discussion with the board of that.
You won't hesitate to let us know if you need some resources in that area.
I will let you know.
You know, it could happen to be beyond the scope of budget setting time. Okay, Jay, anybody else?
Okay. Anybody else from the Board of Aldermen have any questions for the PD?
I'd just like to say.
Anybody else from the Board of Aldermen? I'm sorry?
I just complimenting the police department, the job they do every day is very difficult, and we all owe them a great gratitude for what they do. They stand up 24/7 for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Second that. Okay. Well, if there's nobody else from the Board of Aldermen, We're now going to hear from, let me see. How about Public Works? We have Mike, and Mike, I'm not going to say your last name because I don't want to destroy it.
Kenny,
Thank you all.
Okay. Okay. Didn't know if that was gonna be separate. I thought it was highways and bridges. He said public works. I wasn't sure. So it'd be 3200.
What's the department number?
All right, do we have Mike here?
I am here.
Oh, okay, excellent. I hear you.
Mike
Great,
and
thank you.
Brian,
All right,
Brian Roach also.
say again.
And Roach.
All right, cool. Okay, cool. And you're from Bridges and Highways, all right? Got it, thank you. All right, so, anybody from the Board of A&T have any questions for, either of these two gentlemen? Any questions from the Board of A&T from these two gentlemen?
Dave, you want to let them introduce their budget first before we start questioning them? Give them an opportunity to speak first?
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. I'm sorry, because I didn't hear anything else, so. Sorry, my mistake. All right, hey, you want to give your budget there, guys?
I think, can we get an introduction? Mike, you're relatively new around the table.
Yeah, I'm Mike Kanios. I'm the Director of Public Works. Started back last May and took over for Paul after his untimely passing. So relatively new here, not new to the industry, 35 years, Condot Highway Superintendent. Retired, obviously. So if you glance through line items of our budget, everything pretty standard. Not a large increase request and really any one line item. The only discrepancy or difference between our request and what the mayor's recommendation is mostly in payroll. As you know, Public Works, probably one of the more difficult departments to budget for, because a lot of what we do is hinging upon the weather, the state of our infrastructure. And both of those are relatively volatile. The other discrepancy you'll see or difference is in gas and diesel. We all know that's pretty volatile right now. I think it's on the increase. If you go through the rest of the line items, everything is relatively standard from what Brian and I have requested and the mayor has recommended. Not a lot of differences. And no large increases in what has been previously budgeted for. Brian, you have anything to add?
No, and just the one thing on the regular payroll is, that's basically based contractual. And our request, was about $100,000 more, was more or less a guess. They just settled their contract after a number of years. So I came out with it in the past.
So our estimation of that, as Brian just alluded to, is obvious increase in wages. What's anticipated. We are also currently operating, we have 267 miles of infrastructure that we maintain within the city of Shelton. Critical manpower levels for that amount of mileage of infrastructure is 18 full-time employees. We operate currently with 12. We've underfilled that amount with a number of part-time employees. The difficulty with doing that, especially now, is Public Works or DOT employees are required to have CDLs, but are also required to be laborers, machine operators, so on and so forth, as well as CDL holders. The industry right now for CDL holders is most companies, this is what we're up against. Most companies offer signing bonuses for CDL holders, and all they have to do is drive. They don't have to labor. They don't have to work extended hours. Their hours are set. a lot of these jobs are also in-state, not out-of-state driving. Our greatest competition is Condot. Condot right now is 182 drivers short, and they were at that level throughout the winter. They are actively recruiting and advertising for the very same position that we are short on. My point being this, the underfill of part-timers that we have now becomes transient. We are not able to hold these employees. So that's why the request for the additional regular payroll was in anticipation of your labor wage increases, which are forthcoming, in the anticipation of possibly adding employees, because we are, as far as full-time employees are concerned, well below a critical level to maintain that amount of infrastructure.
I'm talking out of turn here.
That's okay.
I'm taking this first. I just got a question. I'll try to hold on to it. I'm just
You can
concerned.
ask, go ahead.
Jay, you can start the questioning now?
Yeah, if these gentlemen are finished, with their presentation, and nobody from Board of Aldermen, or as you were, Board of A&T have any questions, John, you can go on ahead with yours.
I don't want to,
Let John go first. I'll jump back in after he's done.
go ahead. I'll hold it.
Okay. Jay, it's Wayne Bragg. So,
Okay, go ahead, Wayne.
outside contractors, so are they fulfilling, inside labor role? What's
Correct. So
what's going on?
outside contract services is a lot of winter snow and ice. This was not a big year, obviously, for winter snow and ice. That's how we maintain a shortfall. We also use them even when we are at full staffing levels in major snow and ice events.
So it's an offloading kind of thing then?
Correct, 100%.
What kind of rate do we pay outside contractors compared to inside?
An inside employee per lane mile, considering their labor, our equipment, salt, and overtime rates is about 78.37 per hour. We
Okay.
pay an outside contractor a minimum of 150.
Yeah, cause I have a little background in this area. So what I did is I put all the labor together, internal labor and external labor. And between 2022 and 2024, you're up almost 30%. Contracted services went from 120 up to 500. Part-time payroll went from 295 to 463, and full-time payroll stayed relatively flat, 1.8 up to a little on 1.8 to 1.832. So you've got a pretty big increase in part-time payroll plus contracted services. So is there an opportunity here to fix that?
We kind of have to maintain contract services because it's just not based on,
It's gone up quite a bit though. I'm
it's
just curious.
just not based on snow and ice. It's any
Yeah, I
infrastructure
understand.
items that we can't handle.
Large.
In-house.
large
It's a
building.
capacity issue.
Right.
It's a capacity issue, right? We don't have enough labor to do the work.
And
Well,
large, only get paving jobs.
Right.
Yeah. That's
So
all
Hiring,
contract.
traffic, all that.
So what's your current staffing, full-time and part-time, compared to where you want to be for budget? What's your actual staffing? What do you have on payroll versus what your budget is?
And 12 full-time would ideally be 19, 18,
Okay,
19.
you're down about
full-time.
7.
Correct.
Okay, the back of the position, so that's six.
I'd rather see you hire those than pay an outside contractor.
Agreed.
That was the biggest argument I used to have at Sikorsky. At what point in time do you hire someone full-time to offset some of the overtime? Because we're doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, some of that depends on the service.
Yeah, I understand.
So there's a lot of outreach that we have that can't be handled in-house. Large scale drainage structure failures, replacements, projects, milling and paving. Any type of large scale road resurfacing project. Your infrastructure is almost like a living thing, right?
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
It's breaking down. It's
Yeah.
not, and it's, you know,
It's unpredictable.
if you pass on current, it's gonna double future.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. I'm all set. Thank you.
Yes, do you have enough
All
money in
right,
the,
thank you, Wayne.
Joan Appic, I have one question for highways and bridges. I want to ask if they have enough money in this current vision budget for road and maintenance to properly do the job.
I think we do.
Okay, proof of being the pudding, right?
Okay, unless there's anybody else in the Board of A and T, John English, you can go ahead with your question, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if the new rates that were recently negotiated and released, are they in the mayor's figures? And those figures contain the new
As far as
negotiations?
I'm aware, yes.
I'm sure said the last week.
Do you know, Paul?
What was that again, John?
In the mayor's regular overtime and part-time employees accounts, are the recently negotiated arbitration award, those rates, the new rates, are they included there? Or is that based on old before this?
I think there's, the mayor shaved it some. I think, when you look at, for example, regular payroll, which has a current budget of $1,650,000. Money has been spent. Some of that is retroactive pay that was paid, has been paid out and will be paid out. But 1,700,000 for next year, given the increases that contractually have been agreed to, that's going to be a reach. I think the budget can easily reach that amount. I think the problem is that 1,700,000 may be a little bit shy of where we are as a result of the updated contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that all? All right, John, very good, thank you. Anybody else from the Board of Aldermen have any questions?
This is Kevin Costi, Alderman.
Again,
Can you hear me? Anyways, since arbitration, we keep on talking about it, I don't think anyone here has actually seen what that arbitration rate is, you know? What the increase is for next year?
I haven't even seen it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
It hasn't been signed yet.
Oh, it hasn't been signed, okay. Yeah, but I heard it was, the case was finished, so we should see that soon. Now, the gasoline line item, 40-01, I remember back in February, the Board of Aldermen approved an over expenditure on it. But in the last run we just got for the expenses for this year, it doesn't look like it's actually overrun yet, has it?
Not the date, no.
No, not today.
Okay, so we approved an over expenditure anticipating that will go over, because it's pretty close already?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So proactive.
Yeah, it will.
So then is increasing it by only 25,000 for next year, you think sufficient?
Our estimation was a little bit higher.
Yeah, it was like $200,000.
As stated in my opening, that's really volatile. It can, everybody knows that. It can go up, down. Right now, it's on the rise again.
Yeah.
That also has to do with, keep in mind, the obvious thing. It doesn't snow, we're not here, we're not burning as much fuel, right?
Right.
That's what we went through last year, last 2 years, actually, were very, this year was astronomically nothing. If you get a year where, we're here 24/7, your fuel cost is gonna go up. So, as you look through a lot of items, you say, wow, there are year-to-date expenditures on a lot of these items. Even parts, tires, so on and so forth. That was kind of what I was alluding to in my opening.
Yeah,
It's, it's very hard to guesstimate what a year is gonna do.
right. I mean, the gas prices for the past year have stuck around $3 to $3.50, and diesel's been around $5. If it sticks like that, it seems like we're gonna use probably a similar amount next year as this year, assuming there's no snow.
Paul, can you hear me, Paul?
Yes, I do.
Did we get a locked-in rate?
We have locked in a rate on diesel fuel for the moment. We had a bid back in February, I want to say, on gasoline and diesel. We locked in diesel fuel. It's an area in which obviously we have no control. The prices on these matters are international. They're not just Charlton, they're not just Connecticut, they're not just the United States.
Is it a futures contract?
What was that again?
Is the diesel rate that's locked in, is it a futures contract?
We've locked in diesel. We have not locked in gasoline at this point in time. We're working off the state of Connecticut bid for Fairfield County on gasoline. It's a timing question, we've been fortunate on some, others that I can't say delayed, but we've deferred for the moment, hoping that the prices might go down. Frankly, they've gone down some as to where they were 6 months ago, but they're not at levels that they were 6 years ago.
Right. But the rate that we have locked in, how long is that good for? Do we have to, is it gonna last the whole?
When you bid on gasoline and diesel, you bid quantities. We bid a quantity. We bought 42,000 gallons, which is a contract, which the supplier will buy on the New York Mercantile Exchange. And so it's more quantity than duration.
Okay. But I mean, so if we bought a certain quantity, we should have an estimate of how long it's gonna last though, right?
Yeah, and as far as diesel fuel is concerned, our only two departments are highways and bridges and the fire department, obviously. Highways and bridges burns a lot more than the fire department, because they're constantly out there. But as Mike has said, the past 2 years have been favorable for us because of the weather. That can change next December.
Okay. I mean, how much is left on that contract, and do we have any ability to estimate if we have a year similar to the past 2 years, how long it'll last?
I would think we're probably at a $42,000 gallon contract is probably good for 4 to 5 months, particularly at this time of the year. And since we didn't utilize a lot of it for snow removal.
Right. So in 4 to 5 months, we'll have to do another bid on contract.
We might make it to the end of this fiscal year on that contract. And we can go out again and bid this, and it's frankly a roll of the dice as to where we go. We've been fortunate on some. As I spoke last week, we're very fortunate on our electricity rates. Our gas rates we can't control right now.
but the rate that we paid on the current diesel contract, do you know, if we compare it to today's rate, you know, if it's higher or lower?
It's fractionally lower, but I mean, pennies lower.
All right, so we need about the same amount for next year theoretically then.
So we're at risk, obviously, as is every other community.
Hmm. So in other words, yeah, so there's not much cushion on the gasoline at the moment. So if we have a year that actually has snow next year, we could be in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, as I say, we haven't had a gasoline contract now for probably, the last 15 to 18 months. We've had it, other than buying it directly through the state contract, which changes weekly. That changes weekly.
I think that's all my questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else from the, go ahead.
Jay, it's Eric. I have just some comments. Sticking along with the fuel. Has anyone seen the news tonight? Because our illustrious leaders, there's a bill that it's going to be working its way through the state Senate. The mic is on. Yeah. There's a bill that's going to be working its way through the state Senate, calling for a 75-cent increase on the gas tax. And fuels, it was plural, fuels. And it'll likely go through. And it's going to hit people hard, and it's going to hit cities hard that have to buy the gas and all that other stuff. So I'm not too optimistic about any of that. And I don't think it's as much global as you say, Paul, because I think we were pretty energy independent. And then the so-called powers to be down running the loony bin in Washington that have given our reserves away when we shouldn't have. We've closed refineries, which just really compounds the problem. So I'm not too optimistic about seeing this number. So say what you want, but I'm a believer.
You done there?
Yeah, hopefully we don't end up in the 70s with the type of crisis we had back then. That was not good.
Jay, it's Anthony Simonetti, Old Board of Alderman.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Mike, you also oversee sanitation.
Correct.
Okay. So, we know we've had some difficulty at the burning plants with extra time there. Do you expect that to influence, what you've got here? That you might need more for that?
I don't anticipate that. That's more of a timing factor. Everybody's pretty well versed in what happens at the burn plant right now. So we're looking at different avenues to get our vehicles in and out of there. Because the problem with sanitation and recycling is close to burn plant in Hartford.
Yeah.
That threw everybody into a state of flux. Now, if you go down there, actually time the trip generation, which everybody might anticipate is relatively close, but if you travel from the city of Shelton, it's located just off of, I would best guess, Warden Avenue exit is probably the best way to go to the burn plant. It's not a small trip in itself. Now you sit there and you wait and wait and wait, and there's lines and lines of trucks. So actually time their trip generation. So, the move is now to try and get people to absolutely have their trash and recycling bins out the night before, because we may try to get those trucks on the road earlier, as early as possible, so we can try to get them in and out of the plant quicker. But that's the only deterrent in trash and recycling right now. The rest of the cost is relatively, kind of the same. Their contracted amount is their contracted amount, and their fuel costs and our fuel costs. I mean, normally everything in the industry now, everybody's asking for a 6.6% increase. That goes from materials to trucking to equipment hours. That's the industry standard now that everybody's asking for in construction and anything else is 6.6%. Which is relatively low. Our contract, I think, terms out in 2024. So most of this will be revisited within the next year as we go to a new contract anyway.
Okay. Another question, you also oversee 3,300, which is, road repairs?
Yeah.
It's only 25,000, you spent about 10 of it. What does that mean, road repairs? Because you do a lot more than that.
That's basically for like O and G, like for potholes.
Oh, okay.
curbing, that kind of stuff.
Right. Thank you.
No major projects.
Obviously, yeah.
Asphalt that we'll purchase.
Yeah, okay, all right,
We funded it.
thank you.
It's bonded.
Sometimes not.
Yeah.
Gorilla glue,
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
okay.
Well, it was good to meet with the Highways and Bridges Department because for years and years and years, they've never come to these budget sessions. So it was good to hear from them and discuss the
Thank you for coming.
situation this time.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
Oh, no
you.
worries.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Jay, what's up
All right.
next?
All right, I would assume, you guys are done with your questioning,
Yep,
all right? Do we have, did I miss, Chris Patusik, I think it is? Is he there tonight? Is Chris present tonight?
Here it goes.
yeah, he's up on board now. Welcome aboard, Chris.
Okay, very good. Good evening, Chris.
How are you?
Good, and you? All right. Go ahead with your presentation, please.
I honestly don't have one.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Well,
Okay.
we take care of all of your lovely buildings around here and keep them in good shape.
4,800.
Okay. All right, well, that's probably the shortest, sweetest presentation I've heard yet. All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Patusik? I'll just leave it open to both departments. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Patusik?
Wayne Bragg, AMT.
Go ahead,
Chris,
Wayne.
Like I did with highway and bridges, I'd like to look at all the labor sort of together, full-time, part-time and contractor. And I noticed you've got some fluctuations going on here. I wonder if you could just sort of help me through that. So for instance, you've got, from 2022 actual to 2024, your contract labor is going to zero. Down from 259. And your regular payroll is going up from 206 to 700, almost 720,000. What's going on? What's going on? Can you help me? I'm having difficulty sort of reconciling that.
The people that we had for the contractors,
Yeah.
they became full-time.
Okay, so what's your staffing now then? What's your staffing level? Because in your headcount chart, it looks like that's what happened. You're on
4,800.
Is that correct?
What's that?
You're on budget, so your actual headcount is equal, you're at 23, full-time and part-time?
Yep.
Is that correct? Am I
Yep.
reading that right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're not, so you don't need to hire anybody then?
So we're good, yeah.
Okay, all right, so the labor then, when we look at the two pieces together, goes from about 1,023 up to about 1,210 between the 2 years. About 18%. Does that sound right over a 2-year period? The biggest jump is in regular payroll, but that's again because of your contractors.
Right.
Right, you eliminated the contractors from your health.
Yeah, right.
All right. Are part-time employees at the same level also?
But that, fluctuates a little bit up and down, just, again, if we lose somebody, hire somebody new. So,
Okay. All right. Anything else in labor that you can shed
no,
some light on?
we're actually doing pretty good this year, so.
Okay, so that's 720,000 in regular payroll is. That's basically your offset from your contract labor, so that's down to 200,000, so. Okay, all right. All right, anything else on that? Okay, all right.
Joan Appick, Board of A&T. With regard to any.
Go ahead, Joe.
Joan Appick, A&T. With regard to any backlog that might exist, do you have sufficient funds in this budget to remedy that backlog that may exist to a larger or lesser extent? Do you have?
Yeah, not really following what you mean, no.
Assuming that there's a backlog of work to be done,
Yeah,
does the present budget cover you to do that work?
it should, yeah.
Should, okay.
There's no telling with maintenance, there's no telling, but we make the best of what
I see like the building maintenance and the fire department building maintenance and the equipment maintenance are all almost expended for the year. And they're funded about the same rates next year. So you expect that you're not gonna go over the next 3 months, because it's like at there's like 7% left for building maintenance, 8% left for fire building maintenance.
I try and keep it as close as we can for the year, but again, with, the buildings, there's some good years and there's some bad years, so it's,
Okay. But the amounts, you're comfortable with the amounts
yes,
for next year then?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else from the Board of A&T? No? All right, how about the Board of Aldermen? Anyone from the Board of Aldermen have any questions for Mr. Patusek?
I do. Your budget, does it contain your outside contracting? Do you have, do you use a lot of outside contractors to help you out, or is that another budget, or?
We have outside contractors, again, if there's some bigger stuff that we can't handle, or if there's some other stuff, we need some help with.
Or technical?
Yep.
Okay,
So,
and you seem to have a budget for that?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, anybody else from the Board of Aldermen have any questions for Mr. Patusek?
Doesn't look like it, Jay.
All right, very good. Chris, thank you very much for your time here tonight. Greatly appreciated.
thank you.
All right, and now what do we have here? We have school bus transportation with, let's see, who do we got here? Frank?
Frank, yeah.
Frank Scalazzo?
Scalzo, that's correct, sir.
Scalzo. Oh, my apologies. I guess I'll have to turn in my Italian card. All right, go ahead, Frank.
What number are you, Frank?
What's your department number?
That's a good question, because I am fairly new, as you know,
We're in the top here.
and,
Bus
program,
transportation.
it's 4,200. 4,200,
4,200, you're in.
thank you.
Give us a presentation, Frank, go ahead.
A little bit of background, I come from the Department of Motor Vehicles, Commercial Vehicle Safety Division. I controlled in the bus unit and the commercial vehicle safety unit for 20 years. I also come from special needs transportation from St. Vincent's Hospital for adult day. I did that for about 5 years. I drove also for a while. I've only been here 4 months, so bear with me.
Bear with us. I said
Jake.
bear with us.
Yeah, Jay, you want to start, he seems to be done with his intro. You want to start your questioning?
Yeah, I mean, if he's done with his intro, yeah, absolutely. Anybody from Board of A&T got any questions for Frank?
Yeah, Wayne Bragg.
Go ahead, Wayne.
this may be more of a Paul Hiller question in terms of the budget report, but in the budget report, obviously, there's two sections here. There's the 4,200, which is the expense, which is the 3,150,000 contract. But this year it looks like we added in 125,000 for the athletic transportation into that. So now it's showing as a line item is 3,275,000 for daily student transport under 4,200 80-75. The Board of Education is not showing it that way. They're still showing it that the contract is 3,150,000 and the revenue is showing it at 3,150,000. So can you clarify what's happening with the student athletics? Is that going to be part of the contract or is that still going to be handled separately?
I'm actually gonna have to tell you that that's a Paul.
That's a Paul question.
Yeah. I have no idea why there's a difference there.
Yeah, it looks like it might be just an oversight. Paul, can you answer that question for
I
us?
think really what it is, Wayne, is that what the mayor has done is combined the outside, what I'll call the outside transportation, whether it be field trips and athletic transport and put them into one.
Okay. But
Okay,
the contract itself is not going to change then. It's still
No.
gonna say it's.
the contract, at least for this year, the contract between the city and the Board of Education, the base contract for the day-to-day, 181 days a year, school transportation, plus a little bit of summer school, is 3,150,000.
Okay,
The other expenses, obviously we're sending, whether it's a girls softball team or a boys basketball team or whatever to
yeah.
Danbury or Meriden or wherever they go.
So I would recommend then that we fix the budget report to reflect the way the contract is actually going to be billed.
How can we do that?
That can be done.
Just realign it.
Why,
Just realign it. Just keep the 3,150,000 so that your revenue and your cost match. Because right now your revenue and your cost don't match.
That can happen. And that's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, are you done, sir?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anybody else in the Board of A&T have any questions? Okay, let's move on to the Board of Aldermen. Any questions? Any questions from the Board of A&T?
Anthony Simonetti, I have a question for Frank. Board Alderman, Frank.
Okay, go ahead.
How are you doing on recruiting?
Actually, we're doing pretty well. I wish it could be better, being a statewide shortage and stuff, but I do have 4 drivers right now in training. I have a few more going in that are coming in for maybe the next training class. So recruiting it could always be better, but right now I feel that it's in a positive direction with the 4 that are coming on now. I have 2 that already had their license come in. So I'm up, by the end of the year, I should be up to 6 more than when I started.
Okay, and are you covering the runs at this point in time?
Yes, I've only missed 3 runs in the past month.
Outstanding. Okay, and I understand that you're getting new electronic equipment on board. So that if not this year, by next year, the students' parents can track their children, track the buses so they can know when the kids are gonna be dropped off.
Yes, we just last week had the hardware installed in the buses for the tablets and the card readers. We're still working on the card readers that probably will not go into full effect until probably next year on the card reader part. We're still working on that part.
And I'd like to add to the record that this bus contract is about $2 million less than what the Board of Education will be normally paying per year. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alderman Costa here. There's not a lot of details in how this money is actually being spent. To my memory, the when we took over the when the city took over the bus contract through the lawsuit, there was supposed to be some feedback to the Board of Ed about the expenditures, and my impression from conversations with Board of Ed members has been that they have not been receiving that information which was specified in the settlement for the court contract. Are you aware of this, and is there an end to fix that reporting to the UE?
I was not aware of any of that, but again, I've only been here 4 months and this is my
Yeah,
first.
understandable for 4 months, yeah.
Yeah, but this is my first time even speaking about this budget, so, or this lawsuit that was taken, I took over from the
Yeah.
predecessor Ken, so. I was under impression that most of that was taken care of, so, no, I'd have to refer to other people for that because I have no idea.
Okay. And then, the other thing, I forgot to bring my BUE book. Wayne was asking about the field trips and the athletic, transport. And I think one reason that we need to break that back out and not bundle it together is because the amount BUE was expecting to be charged for that, and the amount that the city was planning on charging them did not match. Like, that's partially because it wasn't split out. This might, I don't know if this is you or Paul Hiller question, but.
Yeah, I think Paul can take care of that.
Right, we can take care of that, but has there been any work with the BUE finance to make those numbers match so that there's no more confusion on that issue?
Well, they're close, they're very close. You know, one of the things we had over the past couple of years, of course, we had, you know, we didn't run 181 day school year. We did this past year, we are going to in the current year. But as far as the athletic transportation is concerned, we can split that out. That's pretty easy to split out.
Right, yeah, my main concern is if my memory serves, and like I said, I forgot to bring my BUE book, but if my memory serves, there's a difference between what the city was planning on charging the BUE and what they were planning on paying, about $13,000, which is, you know, not a lot of money, but it's yet another 13,000 we have to come up with that they weren't planning on.
I think it has a lot to do with what sports and what's being asked for us to do too, as far as what sports we gotta cover and where they're going and how many times they're going. If they go into the CIAC tournaments and more teams make it than they planned on, that's more trips. If we have to use outside vendors because of the lack of drivers and have an outside vendor come in, they probably are gonna be at a different rate. It could be a little higher rate, which, you know, I'm still working on learning all that aspect of this, but that's, I can believe, be one of the issues right there.
And I could add that one of the issues on the athletic transportation is we can't control where they're going.
Right.
You know, if they were going to Trumbull, it's one thing, but if they're going to New London or East Hartford, it's a whole different ballgame, and we have no control on that, you know.
Right, I was more just trying to make sure that the communication is there so that, you know, the expectations are in alignment between our boards and the BUE.
Well, they get invoiced every month of what their trips have cost them.
Right.
So there should be no discrepancies of what they're getting charged and where they went.
Right, yeah, I was just talking expectations for next year.
Again, it's totally on the Board of Ed of what, you know, what sports they're gonna be
Right.
involved with and, you know, how many students they send. Because like to the track and field team is now at 3 buses just for the track and field for one event. In fact, we only used 2 today because they called and said to cancel one, but that's 3 buses is a lot of buses just for track and field. And they're going to East Hartford, they're going to New London, Groton, so they're going far away, you know.
I can't run there.
No, well, they can, have to leave today probably. But yeah, no, that's one of the issues too, is how many kids are putting in each sport and how many buses we can use. Because remember, teenagers, even a bus holds 77, they don't hold 77 athletes,
Yeah, because they got their equipment.
Equipment.
Yeah.
coaches, and they're bigger kids. You know, the buses are designed 77 are for, you know, smaller children. You know, you get 2 adults, kids in there, you can't, 3 adult football
Oh, so
players. are not gonna sit till New London. You don't wanna jam them in, so
So
you're,
the bus numbers are set by expecting 3 to be in a bench.
yes, for school children, on an average size.
Yeah.
Right, you take the
High school,
football-
it's not gonna work now.
No. So you know where I'm going with that. It's just, so you may have to add another bus, which they don't know how many kids are gonna sign up. So there are discrepancies till you know.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Joe Mappick, stepping, A&T, stepping out of the organizational system that, we have, I wonder if the city bus company, to what extent does this, or no extent does the city bus company provide transportation for special ed children? If the city bus company does, could you analyze that situation for us?
If we do it, I'm gonna need more drivers and more vehicles.
Do you do it now?
No, not, well, yes, we do it pre-K. We do the pre-K all right, so all the pre-K we do. So from anywhere, special ed pre-K, I should say.
And private contractors do the other grades?
Yes,
higher
they
grades?
do all the K through 12.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
My question is, do you, Anthony Simonetti, Board of Aldermen, piggybacking on Mr. Knapp's question, the mayor at the last Board of Aldermen meeting said he's gonna buy some more minivans for the Board of Education. You don't get involved with those minivans, or do you?
They're gonna be for private, gonna be for special ed.
Yeah, I have three, I just got 3 new vans.
Okay, and you're gonna take care of them and you're gonna put drivers in them?
Yes.
Okay,
As soon as they get inspected and registered.
Okay, so you will be doing some.
I have 3 vans. I
Okay,
think
he said he
we're-
was gonna order 3 more because it took quite a while to get these specialty vans
Yeah.
in. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, you're welcome, Anthony. Okay, anybody else have any questions for bus transportation? Anybody
like-
else for bus transportation?
Looks like no, Jay.
Say again? All right, very good, thank you. All right, and I think we have, last but certainly not least, Ms. Jones Stokes from the library. Everybody be quiet. Shh. All right, go ahead, Joan.
No, you saved the best for last, right?
Oh, did we ever?
That's right, exactly.
No, libraries aren't quiet anymore.
All right, 4,400.
4,100.
44.
Thank you all for meeting. My name is Joan Stokes and I'm the library director of both the Plum Memorial Library and the
And
Huntington
break with
Grant.
precedent here, there's something that burning question can't wait. There's a function going on at the library.
There is.
Are we all invited?
You are all invited.
Well, so far,
Absolutely.
we didn't get any.
What's the
Oh, you
invitation?
did. I sent the invitation.
What is the invitation? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I did. I said I called you.
To the party reopening, yeah.
Email?
When is it?
Yeah,
When is
it
it?
was
Just
me,
like.
like-
This is this Saturday.
I didn't get
I
it.
didn't get it.
You should have gotten, I'll make sure you did. Tomorrow again.
Hold on, Jay, we're trying to see if we can get a
No,
piece of
you're
cake
supposed to say
and a
that.
cup of
We don't-
coffee out of the library.
I'll check. I'll make sure you do. I'll make sure you do.
Oh, all right.
So what's going on?
And what is this event gonna be?
I'm sorry?
She's gonna do her presentation now,
It's
Jay.
part of the presentation. The
Oh,
Plum
go
Memorial
ahead.
had an interesting year because we have been undergoing a renovation. This is phase 4 out of a 5-year project that has been funded primarily through the library board's endowments. And finally, we are 99.6% done. We have the electrician in today, finishing up some final things, and you're absolutely right. We have an open house this Saturday, and I sent an e-bite, but I will resend it to make sure that you are all invited.
What time is the event?
Between 2 and 3 o'clock, we're going to have the annual Friends meeting. At 1 o'clock, we're going to have the Shelton Senior Center songsters perform. We have a seed garden that is opening that is sponsored by the Old Ripton Garden Club. We are going to have a seed library at the library, so you can come and take seeds, grow them. It's a very new thing in libraries. We have a gallery opening with one of our local artists. And we also have an ongoing book sale too. That is a 24-hour book sale. It's ongoing every hour that we're open. So you're all cordially invited. We're really excited. We have really polished this gem of Shelton. I've been here for 6 years, and in 5 of those years, we've been renovating the whole time.
Outstanding.
It does. It looks absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's what we're doing at Plum. At the Huntington branch, we did have a retirement at the end of December. Marsha Austin, who was my partner every other year that I've been here, retired at the end of the year. We have her interviews in process to replace her, and that's something that's ongoing as well. And other than that, if you look at my budget, we don't have a lot of increases. We're more static than some of the other departments. The only decrease that the mayor has shown is in part-time employees, and we can work with that, but everything else is pretty much in line with what we've done every other year. Slight increase in mileage just because of the price of gas going up, slight increase in postage because of postage going up. But other than that, it's pretty much what it was other years too. This is a transition year for us still. March was the first month we did not have somebody missing for COVID. It was the first time
Congratulations.
in 3 years that we were COVID-free.
Excellent.
Once we replace our branch librarian, then we will be fully staffed again, and we'll work with the decrease in the part-time employees. We have employees who just work Saturdays because they're working 2 other jobs, or they're students, or they're retirees who come back to work. So we have, the part-timers are all over the board as far as how many hours they work. Some of them also have health concerns, so because of their insurances, they can only work so many hours a week as well. So we work with that. And other than that, things are going really well. Our programming's back up and running. We had a computer class today. We'll have Tai Chi tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We have a Friday film series that started. We have the Valley Shakespeare, and I've already contacted Tom to see if he can come back this summer. So things are going really well.
Wonderful.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead, Anthony. What were you gonna say?
I think your board should go first. They have, first dibs for questions. Go ahead, Board of A&T.
All right,
Yeah, Wayne Brad,
who has questions for Joan?
Wayne Brad. Joe, just a couple.
Okay, go ahead, Wayne.
Thank you. Your salary increases look very reasonable, 3%, 4% for both full-time and part-time. Those look in line. Do you have any headcount increases in here? It looked to me like it was stable.
It's stable. We have the one open position,
One position, okay,
but that's just replacing someone who's retired.
okay, all right, so one less person on staff than what you're looking for in the budget.
Right,
Okay.
right.
That's it.
What we do want to do, though, is increase our hours beginning July 1st. Now that we're getting
So your
back up
part-
to.
So your part-time hours will increase then,
No, I mean, the hours that are actually open, we're going to
Well, that's
increase,
what
so we'll have to reconfigure the staff,
right,
but we do want to increase our hours again, and I've gotten the mayor's approval for that.
okay. I'm all set, Jay.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anybody else from Board of A&T have any questions for Joan?
Joan Appick, A&T. The irregular hours, more or less, that have occurred at the library, are they due to renovations or COVID or a combination thereof, or you're going to try to increase the library hours? What would you attribute that present situation to?
I think it's a combination of both. COVID certainly decimated us, decimated the library. I don't even need to go into our history because it was awful. The renovation certainly added to that as well. And we're finding that people want to come in the morning after 7 o'clock. They're not coming out. They'll come out for a program or they'll come out for a meeting. We've just started in the past month opening up the building after hours if people do want to come in. The Republican Town Committee, if the Democrats want to come in, there's a knitting group that's there right now by themselves in the building, and they'll just make sure the door is closed when they leave. So that has opened up another venue for them to use in the city as a meeting place. But and it's not just in Shelton. This has been across the board. People are not coming back at night. They're coming in the morning. And also the complexion of library usership has changed too. People are certainly, backbones are still going to be, the books will still be the backbone of the libraries, but we have streaming services that we offer now too. With a library card, anyone in Shelton can get a library card for free, and you can stream, never leave your home, but still check out a book. If it's an ebook, an audio book, a movie, a TV show, a comic book, you can do from your home with your Shelton library card. And it's free.
So with minimal improvements, in the budget, you're looking forward to improvements in the library system.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's only gonna get better. And COVID taught us a lot of good lessons too. We had to rethink how we did things. No library ever offered curbside service. We're still offering it today. Is it as big as it was 3 years ago when we were closed? No. But for someone who's coming in with their grandma, who doesn't want to have to get out and go inside, it's great. If you have a 3-year-old in the back seat and a car seat, you know how tough it is to get a 3-year-old in a car seat. You can pull up and we'll walk the books out to you too. So we have changed the way we've done things. We offer programming that you can make and take. You hand it to someone, they take it home, they do it at home. And it still counts in our statistics because the state keeps track of every statistic. And since COVID, it's only gotten more complicated.
Okay, thank you.
And we also get funded from the state too. If someone from another town comes to visit our library and check out books, it behooves us to have the best library possible because I'm getting $1,000 check from the state for how many people from out of town have come and visited our library. $961. Not the $961. But you know, you find ways to make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else from the Board of A&T? Okay, hearing none. Board of Aldermen, go ahead. Who do we got?
It's Anthony Simonetti, Board of Aldermen. If I may, I compliment you on everything you've done. The place looks great. We have used the building. It's a great idea that we can go in and out without disturbing anybody, worrying about alarms going off and having a staff that had to pester us. That was their job, to get us out of the building on time. Even my flashing lights, they don't always like to leave. But thank you very much. The library looks great. I remember going there as a child and it was a little scary, but boy, that playroom looks great. I can't wait to take my grandson there.
I'm delighted to tell you that today I found out that our children's librarian won a state award as the best program for a children's library in the state of Connecticut this year. I
Outstanding.
found out this afternoon.
Congratulations.
Maura
Sarah.
Gualtieri. So
Excellent.
please.
Very good.
I will. Her name is again?
Maura Gualtieri.
I'll remember that. All right.
I'll show
Thank
up
you.
with an apple for her on Saturday.
She'd appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Anybody
All right.
else from the Board of Aldermen have any questions for Joan?
Eric? No, we're clean and green.
Wrap it up.
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. So
Take
nice
care.
to meet you.
Thank you. Good to see you
All
too.
right, thank you. Okay. Well, it looks like we are coming to an end. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting for tonight?
Hey, wait a minute.
Time out.
Oh,
Hold on.
what?
I thought, when are we gonna talk about revenues?
Yeah, we were supposed to do that tonight.
Isn't that tonight?
Yeah,
Wait, you almost let him get.
I was waiting for Paul. Paul and I have been corresponding about it. Yeah, Jay, I know I have one question on revenue. And Paul said he was gonna be able to address that tonight. Or do you want to wait, Paul, for the response that you're looking for from the auditors?
Either way, Wayne, I'm looking for my revenue sheets here.
Yeah, I don't know if you,
Go ahead. But it's your call.
well, I'll tee it up and we'll just leave it as an open item because I know you're researching it. So Jay, the question I had on revenue was this. On account 301, 10 and 20. There's an audit unassigned and an additional surplus estimate. If we look at 2023, the adjusted budget, there's $4.7 million. And that's going up to $6.1 million. As I interpret these two lines, they appear to be coming from Schedule F in the audit report. These are in fact surplus dollars from lower expenses from the departments that are turned back into the general fund. So in my view, they seem to be part of the surplus. They're not what I would call, a typical revenue generating line item. And I just wanted to make sure that I understand the accounting, the way this is working between the general fund, the surplus, and the revenue line item, and I've asked Paul to get a clarification on that, but I'm 99% sure that these two items are in fact coming from the surplus from the general fund.
I think, and I sent you back an email today, on your prior, well, your most recent email on that question,
Okay,
particularly, and I'm looking at Exhibit F in the
Yes.
annual report that you referred to.
right,
One thing, when our auditor was at the Board of Aldermen meeting, I believe it was in February.
Yeah.
And anyone from the Board of Aldermen can correct me if it was. He basically said, you know, if you add all these things up and the money that, you know, we were dealing at the end of, or the beginning of this year, July 1st of this year, we were dealing with essentially $10 million roughly
right,
in various funds. What that is basically the 5.554 million, which was the unassigned fund balance, plus the 4.7
right,
that was in that has been utilized in this year's budget. As I indicated to you, and I did get a brief response back from our auditor, that he would be coming to the office later this week. As you can appreciate, for an accountant, for a CPA, today's a pretty busy day. Uncle Sam calls and the state of Connecticut calls, and today's the deadline. And so I will, you know, when we meet, when the board of A&T meets next week, next Thursday, I believe it is, the 27th, we'll get a full explanation from him on that. But those are the numbers, you know, that we had 5.5, excuse me, 5.554 unassigned.
yeah,
And you add to that the 4.7, which was in this year's budget, which makes it a negative figure. But if you add those two together, or if you reverse them, you get up over 10 billion.
Yeah, I track it a little bit differently, Paul. The way I read it is this: the unassigned fund balance at the end of July 1st, 2021 was 7.2.
Correct.
The 4.7 million was identified to be used for the subsequent year's operating budget, which is 2023. That was $1.7 million higher than the amount that was returned to the general fund. Therefore, the unassigned balance came down from 7.2 to the 5.554. So your unassigned balance has dropped as a result of using that $4.7 million of surplus.
Yeah, and the question really is to how much of that 4.7, if any, we're going to utilize this year.
That's exactly right. That's exactly the question.
You know, that's one of the questions. And you know, you've heard and as far as where the Board of Education stands, they have a meeting. Their finance committee meet is tomorrow night. Their numbers are, you know, they have some negative numbers. We have some negative numbers on specific lines, but overall, I think we being the city are in fairly good shape. It's, you know, it's a mix and match situation where, you know, you have two major lines on the city side, which are negative. Both the or likely going to be negative. One already is the health insurance line, and the other one that we talked about at the beginning of this meeting is the police pension plan.
Right.
Those are the two major, what I'll call holes on the city side budget. We have some favorable numbers. As an example, on the police pension line, we have some very favorable numbers on private duty. which is up significantly. And we make a couple of bucks on that, but not enough to talk about. Additionally, we had a line in the income budget of, I think, 75,000 for investment income. We will likely exceed $500,000 on that this year. So we have some very favorable lines. There's others that are back and forth, but overall on the city side, I'm comfortable that we will be okay as of June 30th on the city side. Board of Education, two major holes, health insurance,
Yeah.
special ed, and special ed transportation.
Right.
Say that again.
The city side, I'm confident that we're going to be whole. It goes across a lot of different lines. We have, I don't want to say in every department, but in many, many departments on our payroll costs, we have favorable results, favorable numbers right now. We have two lines that are going to be significantly negative. Health insurance and the police pension line.
And Paul, take a breath. Go back a little bit. I asked you, repeat what you said about the Board of Education as of June 30th.
As of this coming June 30th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have,
Health insurance.
He said health insurance, special ed, special ed, transportation.
Transportation for special ed. Right.
How do we get rid of this delay? It's not only annoying, but it's difficult. to
they
deal.
distributed a report yesterday, and I'm looking at the report. It's very tiny print, but they're looking at a deficit in their employee benefit line of 2.6 million.
That's the
They're
Board of
looking at a deficit
Yes.
on in their special education. I'm trying to find that line here.
It was roughly around $1 million.
Yeah, it's
Plus-
roughly $1 million. The overall right now, they're estimating
What's your health
deficit
insurance?
of about 1,870,000. That's their estimate that was sent out to their finance committee. And that's as of the end of March. Obviously, there's on both of those matters that they have no control.
We understand, well, Paul, haven't got it clear yet. As of the end of March, you originally said June 30th, at the end of March. Say what the number is for the health insurance. What's the shortage? Health insurance.
Their shortage on health insurance on that one line,
Yeah,
their estimate, their projected estimate is a shortfall of $3,067,000.
That's for the year.
That's as of June 30th. Now,
but that's
They-
not what's predicted the last time. That's not.
I'm sorry?
I say just from memory.
Yeah, they were almost fully spent through the end of January. And
yeah, they are over budget right now.
Yeah, here we go.
they were projecting almost $1 million a
Well, we're
month that
trying
we
to-
spent.
We're trying to coordinate the discussion when the delay is getting in the way. So,
Hold on, Paul.
so just
Hold on.
listen to what Wayne has got to say.
So Paul, what Ken said was that through the end of January, they were basically fully spent. I think they had like $200,000 left in health insurance to go. The letter that they sent to the aldermen said that they were going to, on a run rate basis between February, March, April, May, and June, they were gonna spend roughly
Yeah,
$979,000.
they had a budget, Wayne. Their budget for health insurance was $7,725,000.
Right, right. And
They
almost
had
was-
expended through the end of March, 9 months into the fiscal year, 8,107,000.
That's newer information. Okay, all right.
And their projection is, and we have a meeting tomorrow, Board of Education, and Robin Scaranci and myself have a meeting late morning tomorrow with our consultant on health insurance. They may have some updates on it, but their projection right now is a deficit of $3,067,000 on that line.
Oh,
So they're gonna spend $10.7 million on health insurance this year.
Yeah, they're gonna spend 10 million.
man, that's totally unpredictable.
And on special ed, their overall special ed costs, they're estimating a deficit for the year of just over 1.5 million. And again, as I've said before, both last week in person and previous to that, these are two items over which they have virtually no control.
Yeah, we understand that. We accept that. And we have the same situation on the city side.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the same thing, but you look at our budget and our predictions versus theirs. That we're coming in, you see the budgets that these guys are presenting, they're virtually status quo. They're virtually, very little movement. But the Board of Ed is coming in, all barrels wide open. You know what I mean? Hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. They got a tremendous wish list. I mean, it just, now I understand some of the things that they're talking about, and it's just still very early in the game. There's so much that's unknown. But I mean, and these are changing. These predictions you see, these are not the predictions that they gave us the last time we've met. Are you going to their meeting tomorrow night, Paul?
I hadn't planned to, but I can if, I don't know if it's online or what. I mean, the report that I've got, and I don't know who got it. I'd be happy to distribute it to both the Board of Aldermen and Board of A&T. I just received yesterday, which is their most recent financial report. They're generating, their prediction right now. Overall, I mean, I gave you the two worst numbers. Is a deficit of 1,870,000.
A deficit of what?
1,870,000.
What?
But the two lines, as I say,
Wait a
health
minute.
insurance is 3,067,000,
Yeah,
and
special ed 1.5.
special ed's 1.5. So other than that, they're picking up a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there. But those two lines are major deficits.
How do you get down to the 1.8?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
They're picking up on certified staff, 729,000, on non-certified staff, 90,000. It's a little bit here, a little bit there.
Underruns another
So,
one.
Trying to see where their other,
so wait a minute, hold on, Paul. You're saying, see if I got this right. You're saying those three accounts, they got like 3, 5, 6, 7 7.1, almost 7.2 million in deficit.
No, not that much, John, not that much. They're over, their overall deficit, because they have some positive lines within their, what they call their employee benefits accounts. For example, they didn't have to pay out as much as far as retirement benefits. They picked up 245,000 there. So their overall deficit in employee benefits is 2,600,000. They've got other lines, that they pick up. Professional services, they're estimating a surplus of 103,000. It goes on. I'll be happy to send this report.
Whatever that is.
You're gonna need binoculars to read it, but
Either you send that to us or get the Board of Education to send us the status, because we're confused.
I think this is, this is a valuable report so that you can look at it and look forward and see what their projections are. You look at the bottom line. And their estimate overall is a deficit of 1,870,000.
So what you're saying, Paul, is that the 3.1 up in health insurance, the 1.5 up in sped are going to be offset by $2.8 million in other things, getting you down to a net of 1.
Yeah, you got to look at it, Wayne, and all these other things. The biggest line that I see, and they've probably got 10 different categories that they look at. The biggest savings right now is 730,000 in their certified staff payroll costs.
Okay.
I may go to their meeting tomorrow night just to see what I can pick up.
Yeah, they've got a finance committee meeting. I don't know the exact time, but it's
usually around 6 o'clock.
Yeah, you're normally around that hour. And I'll be happy we can send this report, which I got yesterday from them.
Can you email it to all of us?
Oh, yeah, I'll send it to both boards.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
That'll be helpful. That'll clarify it, but at least you can see it. Now, in the revenue side, we still don't know what to expect from ECS money. We're anticipating more ECS money, and that when it comes in, goes straight through the BOE.
There are a lot of rumors in Hartford as to what's going to happen there. My understanding is that the majority party is in conference with the governor, who's a member of the majority party. And where that comes out, I don't know. I've had a conversation with one of our state reps, Jason Perillo, on it. We may get some more money, but that's a guess at this time. The one thing that I've said to Jason and to others,
9%.
and this is important for every town in this town and city in the state, don't let this pass when the legislature adjourns in early June. We have to know, frankly, in the next 2, maximum 3 weeks, and every other 168 towns have to know, because we're adopting budgets before the legislature adjourns. And so if they're going to expand the ECS money, we should know. I said to him, we need to know by the end of April, which is at this point, obviously, less than 2 weeks off.
All right, Paul, take a break. I want to tell you something. I asked Lynn to get me either from the Board of Ed or to develop from your office the excess special ed cost pass-through money. I want both receipts. The first one, I believe, is in
February.
February, we get it twice.
May, you get the next one in
You
May.
you get 75% of the grant in February and 25% or the balance, which is an adjustment, will come in late May.
Yeah, we need to know what that is. We need to know what's going on there. We don't have a clue.
Well, we
mean-
know what we got in February, obviously. I don't have the exact number.
Well, I know you know, and that's why I asked for it. And you know, so, no, we worked out an agreement, an arrangement with the Office of Internal Audit, State of Connecticut, about 3 years ago. That how, if you recall, they sent their auditors down, and we clarified how the money was going to pass through, when it was going to pass through. Everybody agreed, and we let it drop. We failed on our end. We failed Board of Ed and city. We failed to contact the OIA and let them know that we worked things out and everything was set, and don't worry about it. These are, because they specifically in their recommendations asked us to do that. So we never closed it out with them. That's not good practice, because what that does is it makes them, it makes them a little leery of us. You know, they're skeptical.
You gotta be.
I know,
on that.
you know, and that's the way. So I mean, what we gotta know how much money is passing through. If this, the other thing we should know, and I suspect that the state is not reimbursing all our excess special ed costs.
And they never do, John. They never do.
They
You gotta
always-
realize that formula, and this has gone on for years. First off, what you have to do is the deal is that the tuition cost, you have to take what your average cost per student and multiply that by 4.5 times.
Right. Yeah.
So we're responsible. Let's just say, let's use a round figure here. That our standard cost is $16,000 for a student. Okay, for special ed costs, you have to multiply that by 4.5 times. So 4.5 times 16,000, and I'm doing this in my head, is 72,000. 72,000. So we, the city of Sheldon, are responsible for the first 72,000 of any student. What the state picks up is the excess over that. So let's say, you know, between tuition costs and transportation costs, they had figures before that say that their tuition cost out of district is in the 100,000 range, and transportation is 135 is 35,000. So we have a cost for a child of roughly 135,000. We have to pick up the first 72,000 of that. The difference, and I don't have my calculator in front of me, but you're talking a difference of roughly $60,000.
63.
63. You're quicker at arithmetic than I am, Anthony.
No, I have a calculator in front of me.
Okay, I know. That's 63,000. The state picks up 75% of it.
Right.
So the state's going to pay roughly 48,000 for that child. We have to pick up the difference on that still. So we got another 15 or 16,000 that we're going to have to swallow. But that's the way the formula works. I'm trying to log on my other computer here right now. To the state website, see if I can give you the exact figure as to what we got in February.
Well, we also, Paul, we've also talked to them in the past about how they're accounting for the special education costs. I mean, they don't run a separate accounting, they don't run a separate schedule. And you just never know, and they come in and say, oh, we're running over our special ed budgets. I'm not even aware they got one.
I don't like the way it's accounted for in the Board of Education layout. It's all over the place, and it should be in one set of accounts. So
Exactly.
you can see line by line by line and a total special education cost. It's all over the place.
Not to defend, the Board of Education, but if you got two students, two special ed students in one classroom, one in another, four in another, how much of the teacher's time is used? How
Oh,
do
no,
you?
I'm just talking about the actual numbers in
Well-
the report. Yeah, I'm not talking about.
We're talking about the budget.
I'm talking about the
How they
budget.
budget.
report that
How they budget.
It's very hard to determine what the total costs are.
We're
You just pick it up.
looking, we're talking right now, full disclosure,
Right,
at budget time.
right.
We're saying we need to know this, we need to understand it. Because otherwise we don't have the sympathy that is necessary. He's talking, when he comes in and says to us, we had a family move in after the start of school, 4 kids all in special ed, it's costing, we don't have a clue what that means. And all because nobody shared it with us, nobody set it up. And so that's why I say to them, look, my concern is not only pumping out money to them, because they say they need it. My concern is understanding, I want to know, we're spending a lot of money. I want to know how the students are doing. I want to know student performance. I want to see how they measure. This BS, when they say to us, and I'm not pointing a finger at anybody out there, but when people get up and say, 4 years ago, we were ranked 40th in the state, now we're 80th. That's BS. That tells me nothing. How are the students doing? When you got a classroom, when you tell me, oh, you got all these people in the classroom, so many, it's kids, it's paralegals, it's other people, counselors, it's other people, they're all competing in the classroom with the teacher who's trying to teach. And I'm saying, what are we getting out of this program? The way this is set up by the state, it's not in the best interest of our kids. That's what the parents are saying. One parent came and met with us and said, look, I'm taking my kid out of school. I'm taking my kid out of the school because I'm getting bounced from pillar to post with no answers. And the only thing for me to do on behalf of my kid is to take him out and put him in a private school. I gotta pay for it, but I'm gonna do it. And she didn't know how all she suspected was the behavior of her kid is just off the wall.
Yeah.
And he was a normal kid. He knew not a special ed kid. He was a normal kid and she can't measure his progress. She can see differences in behavior, differences, so I mean, that's the message I want to get across in addition to money.
Yeah.
Are we gonna take an interest in the kids? I mean, not just saying blah, blah, blah. That's not, we gotta get in there and meet with them and dig it out. I mean, if we're interested in the kids.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what it's all about.
these conferences between the Board of Education and the city administration were supposed to have gone on years ago, 4 years. And this communication should have existed then and shouldn't be a problem today. I think it's very difficult to second guess certified educators as lay people is a more involved situation than that.
Oh, it's
And
complicated.
after this thing is settled, those conferences between the Board of Education and the city should resume. I thought everything was settled and we would be on a relatively equal track by now, but that doesn't appear to be the case.
Look at the people we
Yeah.
had, the number of superintendents. Everyone comes with a new program. And the state keeps changing the game plan for them. I mean, I'm not second guessing them. I'm not, but I'm saying that what I'm hearing from the parents is the system that the state has provided for them to use to teach and get the best results. The parents are telling me it's not working. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not second guessing anybody. You know what I mean, Joe?
Well, there are plans that are formulated that have goals at the end of them, and they're either meeting them or they're not, and they have periodic conferences on these PPP plans to assess what's going on. But this is always, it seems, a problem in Shelton, this contradiction, this contest between the city administration and the Board of Education. Unfortunately, I thought it was resolved long ago.
There's no conflict. I go back 5 years and when they tell me fully fund education, I can show you that we financed them. If you look at the total picture, all the way through from beginning to end of each school year, we've fully financed every year, 5 years. In fact, there's years where they gave back as much as $500,000.
They also lost 52 positions over the last 5 years.
Yeah. It's what?
They lost 52 positions over the past 5 years.
I can't answer for that. It isn't because of money.
A lot of
I-
students,
I don't
1,100
set their budget.
students.
I mean, I don't set their budget. They got what they asked for. And when you finish the fiscal year and you got deficit accounts, we funded them. And you can see there's some years they were within $5 of their budgeted amount. I mean, look, this is not a game of point the finger. This is an operation where, first of all of us got to be committed that we want to help them. We want to do what's the best for the kids. But we gotta hold our feet to the fire and make sure that we're measuring it correctly and it is happening. I don't think it is. I mean, I like Ken Sterinich. We all like him. We think he's the right man for the job. Everybody here believes that. And we're trying to work with him. We did very well with him last year. We did. He came in and said, that's good. I can live with that. And man, he did. You know, he went on. I mean, he can't control, like we all know, he can't control when you get these people that come in school, special ed kids after the start of school. Nobody can do anything about that, not him and not us. We're
An incredible number this year.
yeah, and that's right. It's an excessive number.
Let me give you the figure. I just found, I did some research while you were talking, John. We received at the end of February, $1,516,067.
How much?
1516067. That is the 75% portion of their excess cost grant.
ECS grant.
So if you look at that, that would say that they're going to get another 505,000 roughly in May, the end of May. And that number can vary because they put in other numbers. My concern is that they had estimates of over 100,000 over that number as to what they thought that they might receive. But that right now is money in the bank, the $1,516,000. That was received February 27th.
And how much will they receive in May?
Hopefully 500.
Well, they should receive another, a third of that, so they receive another 505,000 roughly. But that number can change because of what they've filed in the meantime. But you're looking at they're going to get, 2,020,000, 2,025,000. as far as the excess cost grant for the current year.
So maybe another 500,000, and then if that goes, subtracts from the deficit, then there's still.
Again, my concern, if you look at the reports that they were looking at maybe 100 to 125,000 more than that number. But that's what the state has given them right now. We won't know anything for, say, another 6 weeks as far as what the final number is.
Well, if the Board of Education's concerns are legitimate, then they have to be funded. And the political question does enter into this general question that Board of Education budget is the biggest draw on city finances. So it is to an administration's prerogative to regularly challenge the Board of Education, and the end goal being lower taxes because so much money is consumed by the Board of Education. If their concerns are legitimate, they have to be financed somehow, some way, sometime. If they're not legitimate, that's another question. But unfortunately, everybody's going to have to spend the money to finance real concerns, and it does appear that they have real concerns now. And I thought the situation was resolved with the meetings between the city and the Board of Education years ago. Apparently not. Here we are at the end of the line, trying to figure out how to fund the Board of Ed. It's got to be done.
Every year is different with the Board of Ed. Every budget.
Yeah, every year. Yeah.
There's no 2 years the same.
In every city, this happens. Every city, every year.
I'm gonna tell you something else.
Now, there's not a town or city in the state that isn't facing problems with special education.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something else. This morning I spoke with the mayor. And I said to him, I said, Paul is going to talk about revenues tonight. And he volunteered and said, if they need me, let me know, and I'll be glad to meet with them. So I leave that with you. If you need him, he'd be glad to come and talk and you know, in good faith. So that's a plus. And if you guys in the AT, you know, if we determine that we need them, we'll bring them in and talk to them when you all can talk. But we'll see. Like you said, we gotta know more information to make some reasonable judgments.
Yep.
Or assumptions.
Yeah.
You know, hey, John, going back to Board of Ed, we're putting our time in. I had questions. Ken said he would contact me because he couldn't answer them. It's been 2 weeks. No one's contacted me. I also think that Chris had some questions about insurance. Have you had any answers provided?
No, and last year he did the same thing.
But we're here putting in our time. If we have questions, we're trying to solve a budget problem. What's going on with these people? I'm waiting for a reply. 2 weeks have gone by. I'll get back to you.
They couldn't afford the phone call, they're broke.
This
Okay.
is not the way to do it.
Okay, Jay, you want to call a meeting? Let's just some other discussions, important.
Yeah, if there's no other discussions here, because I mean, I think we can battle this thing all night long and get absolutely nowhere, you know, as far as the Board of Ed's concerned. All right, and that's definitely coming from somebody that spent 8 years.